There is a moment when action no longer needs a reason, not because you don't care, and not because nothing matters, but because action doesn't need to be explained anymore. This episode is about what it's like to act without wrapping movement in a story. For a long time, action was connected to narrative. You did things because they fit a direction, because they supported who you were becoming, because they moved the story forward. Even small actions were framed. This is part of something. This will lead somewhere. This means something about me. But when the story quiets, action changes. You still act. You still decide. You still move. But movement no longer needs justification. You don't explain to yourself why you're doing something before you do it. You don't check whether it aligns with a larger arc. You respond. This can feel strange at first. We're used to anchoring action in meaning. Without that anchor, you might expect action to feel empty or directionless. But it doesn't. It feels direct. You see something that needs doing. You do it. You feel interest. You follow it. You feel fatigue. You stop. There's no commentary running alongside the movement. Action without narrative doesn't feel rushed. It also doesn't feel passive. It feels appropriate. You're not waiting for clarity to act, and you're not acting to create clarity. You move when movement is there. This removes a subtle hesitation. Earlier, action often came with inner negotiation. Is this the right thing? Is this moving me forward? What does this say about my life? Those questions slowed everything down. Now, those questions don't arise as often, not because they've been answered, but because they're no longer relevant. Action doesn't need to say anything about you. It only needs to happen. This also changes how mistakes feel. When action is tied to story, mistakes threaten the narrative. They feel like wrong turns, detours, evidence that you misunderstood something. Without narrative, mistakes are just feedback. You adjust. You continue. There's no need to explain what it means. This makes movement lighter. You're not afraid to act because action isn't a declaration. It's not a commitment to a future version of yourself. It's just a step, taken in the present. Action without narrative also changes how you experience motivation. You don't wait to feel motivated. You don't try to generate momentum. You act when there's energy. You rest when there isn't. There's no story about discipline or laziness, just responsiveness. This doesn't make life chaotic. It makes it honest. Energy is treated as information, not something to override. You don't force action to keep the story intact, because there is no story to maintain. This can feel relieving. You stop carrying the pressure to make your actions add up. You don't need your day to make sense as a whole. You only need to meet what's here. This shows up clearly in work. You do the task. You finish it. You move on. You're not thinking about how it fits into a larger trajectory. You're present with what's in front of you. That presence often improves the quality of action. Not because you're trying harder, but because attention isn't divided. You're not half in the future while the present is happening. Action without narrative also changes how you relate to choice. Choices no longer feel heavy. They're not forks in the road leading to different lives. They're adjustments. You choose what's workable now. If it stops being workable, you choose again. There's no need to dramatize it. This doesn't mean you don't plan. Planning still happens. But planning is practical, not existential. You're organizing logistics, not constructing identity. That distinction matters. Without narrative, action becomes quieter, less performative. You're not proving anything by doing something. You're not trying to demonstrate awareness. You're just participating. This can make life feel more grounded, less symbolic, more real. Action without narrative also affects how you stop. Stopping doesn't feel like failure. You don't interpret rest as loss of momentum. You stop because stopping is what's needed. And when movement returns, you move again. There's no story about falling behind. Nothing to catch up to. This episode isn't suggesting you abandon intention. Intention still exists, but intention isn't framed as destiny. It's orientation in the moment. Like, adjustable. This makes action sustainable. You're no longer burning energy to maintain meaning. You're using energy to respond to life. If you're listening to this and noticing that you're doing things without needing to explain why anymore, that you're moving without narrating the movement, that's not thoughtlessness. That's presence without commentary. And if these reflections help action feel less heavy and more natural, you're welcome to stay with the season as it continues. Liking the video helps it reach others who may be tired of turning every step into a storyline. If someone you care about feels stuck trying to figure out what their actions mean, you're welcome to share this with them, only if it feels right. Action doesn't need a story to be real. It just needs to happen, and it already is.